everyone, Camille here from 88 Fitness Training. Joining me today is IFBB Pro and lead trainer for 88, James Houston. So we've been getting a lot of questions on competing, and since we have a 20-year athlete and one that's also coached many athletes in his time, we figured it'd be a great time to go ahead and interview him and see what he's learned throughout his journey and experiences. So, if you're ready to get started.
Let's do it.
All right. Why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about your background and journey and kind of what made you want to get into competing?
Okay, so, way back, middle school, high school, I just wanted to get big. Didn't necessarily want to compete, I just wanted big muscles. I was a skinny kid, didn't really get picked on because I was kind of tough, but skinny kid, no muscles, no girls ever looked at me. Wallflower, walking around, sick away. So that's high school, middle school, and of course I wasn't consistent. So I'd work out for 3 weeks, stop. Work out for 3 weeks, stop. Work out for 3 weeks, stop. So I'm always going back to zero. Never really made any real gains. You're a kid, you're growing, but no really muscular gains. After high school, I did a year of college, kind of lost, didn't know what I wanted to do. I went in the Army after that, still pretty lost. Got deployed, was in Iraq for a year. And that's when I really started working out.
So was there like a defining moment while you were there, or just because you had extra time?
There was most definitely a defining moment. You're deployed, everybody works out of deployment. But I'm getting magazines, muscle magazines, Flex, Muscle Fitness, Muscular Development, Ironman, you name it. And I'm reading it cover to cover, I'm learning. I don't remember what magazine it was in, but there was a little blurb, seriously a little blurb about this big. It was a trainer at Bally's, and he was getting ready for a competition. And he had his picture up there, and he ripped his head, of course. And it was like a light bulb, like lightning hit me. BAM! That's what I want to do. There it is. That's me.
So what did you do at that point? So when was the first time from that time period to when you first competed?
Many years after that, I first competed. So, you gotta look at your physique, you gotta look in the mirror, you gotta know if your physique is actually gonna be competitive or it's not. I didn't want to show up to a show and not be competitive. I wanted to be in the mix, so I didn't want to rush it. I wanted my physique to look good and to be competitive. So I got out of the Army. I got deployed 97, 98. Got out of the Army 99. My first competition was 2005. So significantly, 5, 6 years later.
And so tell us about, did you join the NPC League and start there? Did you start somewhere else? Tell us a little bit in our audience about the different options you have for leagues.
Well, that's a deep question.
Or at least the ones that you're familiar with. Because there are many.
There are many leagues to compete in, and it's very confusing. I've been playing this game 20 years, and it's still confusing. Around here, and we're in Maryland, in the United States, you have OCB, USBF, and NPC. Those are the 3 big ones for amateurs. OCB and USBF, my first competition was with USBF Battle York. And there's the trophy. I got 2nd place. I've coached a lot of athletes in the OCB.
A few even to their pro cards, correct?
Yes, 2 athletes to their OCB pro card. It's a different league, so the biggest difference is the size of the physiques, the quality of the physiques, the size of the audience, the venues, etc., etc. OCB, USBF, they're smaller venues, they're smaller shows, they're smaller physiques. You're going to get moms and girlfriends and husbands and wives and kids in the audience, that's about it. Any fan of the sport isn't going to go to OCB or USBF. They're going to go to NPC or IFBB. It's common knowledge. They're not going to go to the little shows. The best way I can explain it, and it's still confusing, believe me, is like colleges. You got Division 1, 2, and 3. Well, Division 1's the biggest. Division 3 is the smallest. So OCB is Division 3, USBS Division 2, NPC, Division 1, Major Leagues is IFBB. That's when you're a pro. I trained a female actually who said, you get your pro card from an OCB or USBF, it's like getting a college degree from a non-accredited college. I don't know if I would go that far, but she kind of has a point.
And then I think also too, it depends on your goals and kind of where you plan to take the sport.
Correct. Yes. If you want to go anywhere big time, you got NBC and IFBB. That's your road to the big time. The other leagues, they stay small. They are small. To me, they're not as well ran. They're definitely not as well judged. They're just not as a quality. Not even close. And I haven't done USBF in a long time, so I'm not so sure. But OCB does a polygraph and a urinalysis, and they put the cost on you. So you already have an expensive hobby, and now if you compete at OCB, you got a couple more charges you have to pay for, and you can get randomly your urinalysis at any point, and you have to pay for it.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. So a lot of people come to us and want to compete, but they're not always fully aware of all the costs associated with that. So I mean, the biggest advice we can probably give is to do your homework, do your research, make sure you are eyes wide open in what it's going to cost, because it can be a pretty significant investment on your part.
Money and time, yeah, 100%.
So speaking of time, one of the hardest parts and that's very time consuming can be the diet. So can you tell me a little bit about what your diet looks like in the off season as well as when you're in prep and cutting season?
Sure, good question. So a lot of people ask this question. Protein's protein. Protein's gonna stay the same. Chicken, turkey, steak, fish, pork, eggs. I mean, what changes is the carb intake. Off season, you want to get big, you want to grow, you get a little fluffy, you eat a lot of carbs. When it's go time, cut your carbs. The only thing I adjust is carbs and cardio, really. My protein stays about 250 grams a day, and it stays that all the way up to contest day. What changes is carbs. Carbs, the amount of carbs, and carb cycling. So I'll go a couple days without any carbs, and then carb up. And I'll do a process of elimination, and check-ins every week with coach, looking at my physique, and we decide, hey, you need to do another day of no carbs, or hey, you look good, had a great week, stay the same, or you're losing too fast, put in another carb day.
Yeah, I guess there's probably more art than science sometimes, and just knowledge, experience, and knowing what the physique looks like and what it needs. And so that's definitely not something that, in our opinion, is cookie cutter. Correct?
Ooh, everybody's different, and that's why you check in every week. That's how you adjust your diet, because everybody is different. Everybody reacts differently to the diet. You have to figure that out.
And I would say, off season is just as important as in season as well. Would you agree that you absolutely should be checking in with your coach or whoever is working with you to make sure you're still on point?
Yes. I'm on a pro level, and I can tell you the difference between the pros and the amateurs is diet. 100% the diet. It's like night and day. It's first and second. It's not the workouts that are going to get you there. At the competitive level, everybody knows how to work out. It's period, done.
So it's more that conditioning, which
diet.
is driven by diet.
Correct. Diet, cardio is dialing you in.
So tell me a little bit about what your workout routine looks like at this level.
Okay, I do one body part a day. I take 2 days of rest a week, most weeks. And Camille and I came up with a system about 2 years ago. We do a week, it's all supersets. We do the next week, it's all drop sets. And the week after that, it's all heavy. And then we repeat. So superset, drop set, heavy. Superset, drop set, heavy. I'm 44 years old and I've made some serious gains these last couple of years using this system. I mean, we stole it from Neil Hill. Can't take credit. And we tweaked it a little bit. It's what, Y2J or something?
Yeah, Y3T or something.
So we took it from him and tweaked it and made it our own. But Mr. Hill, I'll give you credit.
Now tell me a little bit about why we went to that in our audience.
So Camille and I have a tendency to just superset everything. So before we got to this, we realized, hey, we just went 8 weeks where we did nothing but supersetting the whole time, every single workout. So we needed a change.
And more adaptation, since the body's pretty efficient, especially after you've done something very similar for the last 4 to 8 weeks.
Correct. And I'm not a big fan of going heavy. I know you need it, and I do it, but now I'm forced to do it.
As an older athlete,
Right.
it can definitely become challenging on your joints.
Yes, and you got to be careful. 44 years old, you want to push the pounds, but you don't want to get hurt. You get injured, you're on the sideline, you're not doing nothing.
Sounds good. What about coaching? So that's such a crucial piece, I feel like, in any competitor's prep, even in their off season. So tell us a little bit about what to look for and how a coach really assists and helps the athlete.
Okay, so coaches. Here we go.
Tell us the good, bad, and the ugly.
So, to me, the information's out there. You don't need a coach for information. The information's out there. Google it, read it, research it, do whatever you want. The information is out there.
And free at that.
And free. You get a coach for experience. That's number one. Experience. So if your coach has never competed, fire them immediately. And get a coach that's competed before. Also, check their history. Do you have any athletes with a first place finish? Do you have any athletes you got to a pro card? Do you have any athletes you coached to a national show? How's he doing nationals? Etc., etc. A good coach will have examples and probably pictures of their athletes that they've taken to the pro cards or the national level or even at the local show getting first place. If we were in the gym, I'd show you a bunch of pictures, but we're in the office right now. But that's the biggest thing for me. Experience, number one. That's what you're paying for. I personally have never had a coach. I've already made all the mistakes and learned from them. So you don't have to make the mistakes I've made over the years and learn from them. Back in 2005, there was no such thing as a coach, by the way. There was no such thing as men's physique, classic physique, no coaches.
No wellness.
Right.
Yeah.
And they first came out as gurus, not coaches, by the way. And they switched it over to coaches. So, personally, I've never had a coach, but I've already made the mistakes and learned from them and moved on. And that's the biggest selling point. And I tell all my clients that, listen, dude, I've already made the mistakes, so you don't have to make it.
Sounds good. So that is all the questions I have prepared. Any final thoughts or comments for our listeners and subscribers?
I want to go back to when I should compete. This is a passion for me. It's a love for me, and this is lifelong. You go to my parents' house, I got pictures glued up from 1983 of the magazines. I was ripping guys out and gluing them to the basement wall for motivation, obviously, and that's what I wanted to look like back when I was 8 years old. And it's been in my blood. I've tried to quit. I've tried to retire. I can't stop. I can't. I love it. It's who I am. It's part of me. If that's how you feel, obviously, get your physique there, you know?
Right.
If that's not how you feel, I'm going to try this.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us and share your experiences and knowledge with our subscribers. So thanks for watching, everyone. Check out our other YouTube videos and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Camille and James Houston, 88 Fitness Training.